All be me, Ethan. Late 30s official job title is a whole sentence, but it really means senior project engineer at a big regional power company. I plan and run upgrades for the grid, substations, transmission corridors, generating stations, the heavy-duty stuff. Small team, mostly dudes who've been doing this since I was in high school. There's Hank, built like a refrigerator, looks like he eats rebar for breakfast. He's our physical infrastructure lead. Then there's Victor, quiet, always hunched over a laptop, absolute demon with controls and SCADA, can make a grid behave like it's got a brain just by typing. Our world is concrete, steel, and don't touch that or you die. Physics world. Things either work or they don't. You don't negotiate with electrical laws. You can't reframe Ohm's law in a team-building exercise. We take it seriously because we have to. If we screw up, entire counties go dark. Hospitals switch to backup and pray it holds. Traffic lights go out, people lose their minds. It's not some office game with fake stakes. Work vibe matches that. Direct, no fluff. If an idea sucks, we say it sucks and explain why. Not an attack. Just keeping the boom boom outside the building. Been operating like this for years. Efficient, effective, and then she showed up last spring. Company hires a new head of something called Inclusion and Growth Council. Her name's Vanessa, fresh out of some corporate HR kingdom at a different soulless company. She's got that polished smile that's all teeth and zero warmth, never quite reaches the eyes. She brings two lieutenants with her, Jasmine and Tori, both from those departments that don't produce anything you can point at. Internal comms, corporate branding, that kind of vapor. The three of them move like a pack, always together, walking the halls, nodding at each other like dashboard bobbleheads. At first it's just emails, so many emails, new policies on mindful language, mandatory online trainings about building a welcoming workplace. We all click through them at lunch, pick the answers that are obviously be nice, get the completion badge, go back to keeping the grid from eating itself. Normal corporate nonsense. Then it ramps up. Vanessa's council announces they're doing cultural audits of every department. She stands up at a big all-hands and explains that certain teams, especially technical ones, may have embedded patterns of toxicity. Never actually says the phrase everyone's thinking. But when she says technical ones, her eyes sweep right over me, Hank and Victor. Message received loud and clear. Engineering is the problem. Child, we're the dusty old boys club that needs correcting. First real move is inserting themselves into our meetings, all of them. Vanessa sends a memo, says a representative from her council must attend all project planning and review sessions to ensure diverse perspectives are present. First meeting. They crash is a big one. We're dealing with an older substation that's acting weird, harmonic resonance problems, nasty technical issue. If we don't fix it, the transformers can overheat and fail in a chain. Cascading failure. Big chunk of the city loses power in one ugly domino run. We're deep in it. Schematics spread out. Load flow printouts. Victor's walking us through a possible software side mitigation for the capacitor banks. Real technical talk. The kind where everyone's focused and nobody's joking. Then Jasmine raises her hand like we're in second grade. Entire room stops. Everyone turns to look at her. She's got this intense, concerned face like she's about to reveal something profound. She asks if we've considered the socio-emotional impact of the substation's audible hum on the surrounding neighborhood. Dead silence. I just stare at her. Hank's jaw tightens like he's testing how much force it would take to snap the conference table in half. I try to stay professional. I tell her the hum is a byproduct of normal transformer operation. We already measure sound levels. We make sure we're within legal limits. But right now, the priority is preventing catastrophic equipment failure. She hits me with, "That sounds very technocratic," says I'm dismissing the lived experience of residents. Vanessa immediately nods like she just watched me commit a war crime. She goes, "This is exactly the cultural blind spot we're here to address." Claims we're so fixated on machines, we're forgetting people exist. Next thing I know, 45 minutes of a critical engineering session gets eaten alive, looping conversation about community outreach, empathetic infrastructure, listening circles, or whatever. We get exactly nothing done. Substation problems still sitting there, unsolved, waiting to bite someone. This becomes the new normal. Every technical discussion gets yanked off the rails by questions that have nothing to do with the actual failure mode. Later on, Tori decides our SCADA interface is visually aggressive. She claims the color palette is intimidating and coded masculine, suggests we replace the red and yellow critical warning indicators with soothing pastels like soft blues and gentle greens. Victor just stares at her, flat-eyed says, calm as a machine, their industry standard for a reason. And you can hear the rest of the sentence unsaid, because red means stop before you die. Not vibes are harsh. Red means danger. Red means move now or people get hurt. Victor literally says that out loud. Next day he gets an HR email about his unreceptive communication style. Of course he does. Real problems start when they stop just talking and start touching the actual work. Vanessa's council decides they get approval rights. Now they have to sign off on forming any new project team, because apparently staffing is a feelings-based activity now. We're planning a major transmission corridor upgrade. Big job, specialized skills, high voltage, right-of-way coordination, protection schemes, the whole mess. I build my ideal crew, me, Hank, Victor, and a few other senior guys I trust with my life. Submit the plan, gets rejected. Reason listed in polite corporate language. Team composition does not reflect diversity objectives. Translation. Too many dudes, try again. I get summoned to Vanessa's office. She's got a stack of printed out corporate PDFs on the desk, like she's about to indict me at Nuremberg. She tells me my team is unacceptable, because it's all men, I explain slowly, like I'm talking someone down off a ledge. This job is niche. The people I picked are the most qualified in the company for this exact corridor. I even mentioned there are only a few female engineers with the right background, and they're already tied up on other critical work. Her face doesn't change at all. She hits me with, merit is often a code word for privilege, says by picking people like me, I'm perpetuating exclusion, tells me to reevaluate and think outside the box. Outside the box, meaning outside basic competence. Apparently, we lose about 2 weeks on the schedule just from that nonsense. We end up pulling in a junior engineer from another group, fresh, eager, absolutely zero experience with high-voltage transmission work. But hey, box checked. Hank spends half his time babysitting, not mentoring. Babysitting, making sure she doesn't wander into something lethal or sign off on something unsafe. Everything slows down. Everyone's irritated. Morale tanks. The guys start acting like their experience means nothing, like they're interchangeable parts, and the people running the machine have no clue what the machine even does. Lunch gets quieter, less talking, jokes die. Everyone just stares at their food and tries not to be noticed. Because if you push back, you get paperwork, hostile work environment, resistant to change, undermining corporate policy. It's all weaponized, HR buzzwords. Management is useless. They're terrified of Vanessa. Anytime we raise a concern, they respond with limp platitudes. Inclusivity is a priority. Find a way to collaborate. They're so scared of a lawsuit or a nasty article online that they hand her counsel the keys to the building. Then we hit the real breaking point a few months later. Middle of a brutal heat wave, grid is getting hammered. Everyone's running 12-hour shifts watching alarms like hawks, trying to avoid brownouts. One of our oldest distribution centers is cooking itself. Some relic built back when disco was still a thing. Equipment temp climbing. Hank and his field crew are out there in the sun, setting up temporary cooling. It's miserable. Blistering heat. Asphalt radiating back up. Sweat in your eyes. Then we get a priority. One email, not from ops, not from the control room, from the council, from Tori. She demands an immediate halt to all non-essential work at the distribution center. Her argument is that the situation is creating an inequitable distribution of physical hardship. She noticed the field crew is all male, claims it's proof of a system that defaults to putting men in physically demanding roles, and excludes women from these opportunities. I'm staring at the screen like it's written in a foreign language, because what the actual hell, I call her immediately. I tell her this is not an opportunity, it's an emergency. I tell her Hank's guys are there because they're the qualified crew, and if they stop, an entire district could lose power while it's like 102 degrees outside. Her voice is ice. She says, my panicked tone is exactly the masculine-coded gatekeeping she's been talking about. Then she ends the call with, I'll be escalating this to management. I hang up and slam the phone down hard enough the desk rattles, hands shaking, not from fear, from pure anger. This isn't just irritating anymore. This is dangerous. Their cluelessness is going to hurt someone or cause a major failure. That night, I meet Hank and Victor at a small bar near the office. Nothing fancy, just sticky tables and dim lights. We sit there for a while and just stare into our drinks. Hank looks wrecked, like he aged a decade in 1 week. He says they barely got the cooling rigs online before a key transformer hit its thermal limit and tripped, said it was seconds away from a cascading mess. Then he adds this like it's the punchline to a joke nobody wants while they were working. One of the council's junior people was walking around taking pictures, asking his guys if they felt empowered by their labor. Victor's quiet the whole time, and that's worse than him yelling. Finally, he says he spent his afternoon arguing with Jasmine. She thinks our automated load shedding protocols have problematic implications because the system doesn't ask for consent before temporarily cutting power to a neighborhood. Like, we're going to send an email to 20,000 customers mid-emergency. Hey bestie, can we turn you off for 10 minutes? We just look at each other across the table. Hopeless feeling. We can't fight them. We can't reason with them. Management won't back us up. We're trapped in our own company. We talk about quitting, finding jobs somewhere else. But we've all been here over 10 years. We built things here. We've got history in the concrete and steel. We all had that dumb sense of duty. Like leaving would be letting them win. Like the grid is some sacred thing and we're the monks guarding it. So quitting felt wrong. We order another round, bars getting louder, but our table is its own little misery bubble. We're venting, throwing out insane ideas, lawsuits, transfers, accidentally losing emails, all fantasy coping. Then Hank starts ranting about all the useless dead-end garbage that's been dumped on field ops over the years. The kind of tasks that exist solely because someone in a suit needed a checkbox. And something clicks in my head. An idea shows up. Stupid idea. Dangerous idea. But it's the first thing all night that feels like it could actually work. I look at them and go, what if we stop fighting them? Both of them just stare at me. I keep going. What if we agree with them? What if we tell them they're right? Hank squints at me like I'm having heat stroke relapse, asks if I've been out in the sun too long. I start laying it out. They're always saying the same stuff. Engineers have narrow technical brains. We ignore the human element. We can't communicate. We don't do outreach. We're cold, rigid, blah, blah, blah. And they want more responsibility. They want to prove their way is better. So, give it to them. Give them the projects nobody wants. The ones that aren't engineering problems. The ones that are endless complaints and bureaucratic sludge. The nightmares that have been sitting on the books for years because they're unsolvable and thankless. The kind of work that eats months and gives you nothing but headaches. Victor's mouth twitches, slow little smile creeping in like he just found an exploit in a system. Hank starts to chuckle, not happy. Chuckling that, oh, that's evil, chuckling. We spend the next hour brainstorming like we're planning a heist, and we land on 2 perfect candidates. First one is what everyone calls the Maple Crest Substation Complaint Binder. Maple Crest was built out in the sticks decades ago. Then the sticks turned into a rich suburb with gated entrances and HOA newsletters. For like 15 years, residents have been screaming at us, noise, ugly view, imaginary radiation. My kids' headaches are your fault. We've run study after study. Everything's safe. Everything's within limits. Doesn't matter. They don't want facts. They want it gone. Dealing with them is pure misery. Endless town halls, nasty letters, local politicians sniffing around for votes. It's radioactive PR. Second candidate is the Zone 12 Documentation Recovery Project. Zone 12 is this ancient slice of the grid that's basically Frankenstein, equipment from different decades bolted together, some parts older than my parents. Documentation is a disaster, half missing. Other half handwritten on paper, stuffed in a damp basement archive nobody's opened in forever. Project goal is to audit, digitize, and catalog everything in that zone. Monumental task, tedious, thankless, zero glory, zero visibility, career, black hole. These aren't engineering projects, they're swamp creatures, and we're about to hand them a leash and wish them luck. We build the approach. We don't just dump the projects on them, we champion them. We hype their unique strengths. We frame it as a golden chance to apply their holistic, people-centered magic where our rigid engineer brains failed. We weaponize their buzzwords, malicious compliance. Premium edition. Next morning, I request a meeting with our division head and Vanessa. I walk in with a folder and my best serious face. Hank and Victor come with me as backup. We sit down. I say we've done a lot of soul-searching after their recent feedback. I say we realize we've been too defensive, that our engineering pride has been holding back progress. I see it, tiny flicker of victory in Vanessa's eyes, like she's finally cracked the stubborn caveman. Then I slide the folder across and present the two projects. I describe them like they're not technical nightmares. Maple Crest isn't a screaming neighbor problem, it's a matter of community trust and restorative engagement. Zone 12 isn't our records are a dumpster fire. It's preserving institutional knowledge and overcoming legacy barriers. I tell them, straight-faced, my team lacks the skills in empathy, communication, and organizational dynamics to succeed here. But her council is perfectly built for these challenges. This is their chance to shine. Division, head looks like Christmas came early. He doesn't care about philosophy. He just wants problems to disappear. Vanessa is glowing. She probably thinks she just turned us into allies. She accepts instantly, launches into this speech about how thrilled she is to see engineering embracing a new paradigm of collaboration. Promises results that will make the entire company proud. By that afternoon, the paperwork's done. Projects officially transferred under her council's oversight. We walk out of the conference room. Hank claps me on the back so hard I almost faceplant. None of us say anything. We just share that quiet grin. Trap is set. Now we wait. First week is blissfully quiet. Office feels like it used to. We can talk shop in the hallway without checking over our shoulders. We actually make insane progress on the transmission corridor upgrade. The junior engineer we got forced to bring on is even starting to learn now that Hank can actually mentor her instead of burning hours fighting paperwork. Meanwhile, Vanessa's council is in full theater mode. They host a big kickoff meeting for their two new flagship initiatives. Invite people from like half the company. There were posters and pastries, like it was a charity fun run instead of damage control. Vanessa ran the kickoff like she was unveiling a new smartphone. Deck full of inspirational quotes. Stock photos of diverse people high-fiving in open-plan offices. Words like synergy, paradigm shift, operationalizing collaboration. Absolute masterclass in talking for 15 minutes and saying nothing. For the Maple Crest substation mess, their plan was pure PR, no interest in technical reality. They were going to fix it with vibes. Jasmine got put in charge. Her strategy was community listening, so she schedules a whole series of listening sessions, sets up a booth at the local farmers market. Big sign that says, "We hear you," clipboard people, suggestion boxes, pamphlets on recycled paper about our company's commitment to sustainability. It's adorable. The residents are not impressed. They don't want pamphlets. They want the low-frequency hum they swear is making their dogs neurotic to stop. They want the ugly chain-link fence swapped for a nice brick wall, with tasteful landscaping and little shrubs that scream property values. They want the substation moved, like physically relocated. This critical piece of infrastructure feeding around 60,000 homes. Just put it somewhere else. Jasmine's write-ups from these sessions are painful to read. She keeps using phrases like opening dialogue, creating a safe container for feedback, holding space for lived experience. We hear through a buddy in accounting that she expensed a ridiculous amount of calming aromatherapy, diffusers, like little lavender mist machines for town hall meetings. Didn't help. If anything, it made people angrier. They felt patronized, like we were treating them like toddlers having a tantrum. Their complaints to the state regulators nearly doubled. Great job, team, on the other front. Vanessa assigns the Zone 12 archive nightmare to another council person, some new hire named Brooke. She approaches it like it's a cute filing project. Step 1. Hire interns. They can scan everything. Sure. Yeah. Then she finally goes down to the archive itself, the basement of the old operations building. Victor and I make a point of walking past her office the day she comes back. Her shoes are caked with mud. There's a cobweb literally stuck in her hair. She has this 1,000-yard stare like she just toured a haunted house, because the archive isn't old files. It's a tomb, decades of neglect, shelves half collapsed, stacks leaning like they're about to avalanche, water damage from a pipe that's been dripping since the Clinton administration, papers fused together, ink smeared into gray ghosts. It's not something interns with scanners can fix. It needs a restoration crew, like professionals with gloves and chemicals and patience. And after that, you still need engineers who can interpret 50-year-old faded schematics. Brooks submits a budget request for an outside contractor to do the restoration. Quotes come back, astronomical, way beyond the council's discretionary fund. Request gets denied. So now their 2 shiny flagship projects are dead in the water. Weeks go by. Jasmine is stuck in an endless loop of hostile community meetings. Brooke is staring at a locked basement door and a denied budget line. Can't even start. Vanessa's confident smile starts looking tighter, like she's holding it together with staples. The tone of her emails shifts. At first it's subtle. I get one with a subject like, quick question, airy, harmonics. Email body is basically a long, rambling complaint from some Maple Crest resident. Electrical pollution, dirty power, vibrational energy. And Vanessa asks if I can write a simple explanation in layman's terms for her to send. I reply, polite as a saint. Tell her it's a complex topic and easy to misinterpret. So it's best if all technical questions go through the official project team. Then I remind her, gently, that her council is the official project team. ICC my boss. Little smile while I hit send. Victor gets the same kind of phishing emails from Tori. She asks if he has any old documentation on Zone 12 since the archive is temporarily inaccessible. Victor replies like a robot reading policy. All official documentation is stored in the central archive per company rules. He's not authorized to keep personal copies. Can't help. Sorry. We become a brick wall. A cheerful, professional, happy to assist brick wall. Just following procedure. Wouldn't want to overstep. Wouldn't want to undermine their leadership. We even sprinkle in their language. Don't want to impose our rigid engineering worldview. Don't want to disrupt their holistic process. After about 9 weeks, the desperation gets obvious. Vanessa starts scheduling interdepartment alignment syncs with us. Books a conference room for an hour. Invites basically our whole engineering team. Agenda is always vague, ensuring cross-functional clarity. In the meeting, she tries to casually steer it into technical brainstorming for her disasters. She'll say stuff like, hypothetically, if someone were to approach the acoustic dampening concerns at Maple Crest, what might an engineer consider as a first step? I look her dead in the eye and go, that's a really thoughtful question, Vanessa. It gets right to the core of what you're dealing with. What does your project plan say your next step is? She flushes, changes the subject. Every one of those meetings is a complete waste of time, but they're also proof. Our plan is working. They're drowning and they know it. And the quarterly performance review is getting close. This was the big one, the quarterly show and tell, where every department head has to stand up and justify their existence. Executive leadership in the room, COO, CFO, compliance people, a couple VPs who never blink, the week leading up to it. Vanessa's council goes absolutely feral. Their office lights are on late every night, not because they're fixing Maple Crest or digging through Zone 12, because they're building a presentation, a huge glossy monstrosity, like a 200-slide PowerPoint designed to win an award for maximum shine per zero substance. We know because they keep pestering the graphics team. Can you make this chart more engaging? Charts with no numbers. Infographics about concepts like stakeholder alignment energy. Arrows pointing at circles, pointing at other circles. The day of the review, the main boardroom is peak corporate intimidation. Massive oak table you could land a helicopter on. Leather chairs that squeak like they cost more than my car. And all the most powerful people in the company sitting there with serious faces. My turn comes up. I keep it simple. Transmission corridor upgrade, on schedule, under budget, what's done, what's next, what risks we're tracking. I give credit to the team, even shout out the junior engineer, because she's actually learning now that we're not drowning in council nonsense. Answer a couple of technical questions, 10 minutes, maybe 12, done. Then it's Vanessa's turn. She walks up front radiating this forced confidence, like she practiced smiling in the mirror for an hour. Behind her are Jasmine and Brooke, both sitting stiff, looking like they want to teleport out of the room. Vanessa starts her deck, and, yep, it's exactly what we expected. Slide after slide of buzzwords and stock photos, diverse smiling faces, people in hard hats pointing at clipboards in places that are definitely not real substations. She talks about their journey, their learning arc, their discovery process. For Maple Crest, she throws up word clouds, literally word clouds, generated from angry resident emails, and she calls it qualitative data. For Zone 12, she shows a picture of the locked basement archive door, calls it a powerful symbol of unlocking institutional barriers. It's performance art. 20 minutes of this, not one concrete result. No milestones, no metrics, no percent complete, no we reduced complaints by X. Just airy language about laying groundwork for a new era of corporate community partnership. She finishes and smiles like she's expecting applause. Room goes dead silent. No clapping, not even polite executive nodding. Then the CEO leans forward. Guy's in his late 60s, sharp as a tack, started his career as an actual lineman, which is why people don't try to bullshit him too hard. He doesn't smile. He looks right at Vanessa and asks the simplest question imaginable. Thank you, Vanessa. That's a lot to think about. But I'm not clear on the status. What progress have you made on the Maple Crest complaints in the last quarter? Vanessa's smile twitches. She starts in on the listening sessions again. The CEO cuts in. Calm, but sharp. I understand you've been listening. Have the complaints gone down? Vanessa hesitates. And then she has to admit it. No, they've gone up. You can feel the air in the room. Change. CEO pivots without missing a beat. Okay. Zone 12. Archive audit. What's the percent completion? Brooke looks like she wants the floor to open up and eat her. Vanessa clears her throat and starts doing that corporate stall move. We encountered unexpected legacy challenges. We are currently rescoping the strategic approach. CEO's face doesn't change. His patience is visibly draining. He leans in just a little more. So, 0? Vanessa doesn't answer. Silence stretches out until it feels physical, excruciating. And then she plays her last card. She tries to dump it on us, says the council has faced significant cultural resistance from engineering, claims we've been uncooperative, that we're hoarding information, refusing to provide technical support only we can provide. She makes it sound like we've been actively sabotaging them. Every eye in the room swings to me, like spotlights. This is the moment. CEO looks at me. Ethan, is this true? Has your department been uncooperative? I take a breath, keep my face neutral, keep my voice even. No, sir, that's not true. We respected the council's ownership of both projects from day one. I keep going, careful and calm. We recognize these weren't primarily technical challenges. They required communication, outreach, and organizational skill, which Vanessa argued her team was uniquely positioned to provide. So we deliberately stepped back, to give them space to implement their methods without interference from our traditional technical-first approach. I pause just long enough to let it land. However, if you're asking for my engineering assessment of both problems, I can provide it. CEO nods once. Please do. I don't have slides for this. Don't need slides. Maple Crest, I say, is an aging transformer issue. There's a roughly 160 megawatt unit in there that's been running forever. Over time, the core components loosen. Under load, it produces a constant 120 hertz hum. It's within legal sound limits, but it's audible, and it annoys the hell out of people who live nearby. The only permanent fix is replacing the transformer with a modern sound-dampened unit. I give them the number. Estimated cost is around $1.8 million. Installation would take about 4 weeks, assuming we can schedule an outage window. The capital request for this replacement was first submitted 7 years ago, and it's been denied every year since due to budget constraints. I glance around the table. The finance VP suddenly becomes extremely interested in his notes. Zone 12 archive, I continue, contains documentation for obsolete systems, pneumatic controls, old rectifier equipment, including Mercury Arc era stuff, highly specialized. A real audit requires engineers who can actually interpret that material. You'd need a team of 2 senior engineers with historical systems knowledge, and you're looking at 6 to 7 months of dedicated work, minimum. And that's the core issue, I finish. It's a massive manpower sink for a low priority, non-critical slice of the system, which is why it's been deferred for so long. I stop talking. Those are the technical realities. I sit back down, and the contrast is brutal. Vanessa talked for 20 minutes and delivered pure vapor. I talk for maybe 2 minutes, and the whole room suddenly understands everything. Nobody's even looking at Vanessa anymore, like she turned invisible. CEO stares at his notepad for a long beat. You can hear the silence. Then he looks up at the VP of Operations. Get the Maple Crest transformer replacement approved today. No debate, no, we'll consider it, today. Then he points his attention at me. Ethan, your team is managing it effective immediately. He shifts his gaze back to Vanessa. Her face is pale, like she's about to faint. CEO's voice goes ice cold. Your council's mandate is under review. We'll be in touch. Meeting over, just like that. We file out. Vanessa, Jasmine, and Brooke stay behind, frozen in their chairs like someone hit pause. We walk back to our corner of the office. Nobody says a word until we're through the door and back in our own space. Then Hank lets out this long, slow breath, like he's been holding it since sunrise. He looks at me, and he starts laughing, not loud, not mocking, quiet, deep, exhausted relief, the kind of laugh you do when something finally stops squeezing your throat. About a week later, an internal memo drops. The Inclusion and Growth Council is being reorganized, budget cut to the bone, authority to oversee or approve projects revoked, folded back into HR. New responsibilities include morale events, company picnic planning type stuff. Vanessa resigns about a month after that. Email says she's pursuing other opportunities. I hear through a friend she's doing freelance consulting now, selling slide decks and the buzzwords by the hour. Somewhere else, Jasmine and Tori are still around, but they keep to themselves now. No more pack walking, no more confident smiles. They don't make eye contact with anyone. Their power's gone. We get the new transformer at Maple Crest. Hank's crew installs it. Week after it goes online, complaints drop to 0. First time in 15 years. Funny how physics works when you actually deal with it. We never did tackle the Zone 12 archive, still sitting there on the back burner, still a swamp monster for another day. But the vibe is different now. Management leaves us alone. They trust our judgment again. We're free to do the job we were hired to do. And the best part is, we never set out to destroy anyone. We never filed a complaint. We never raised our voices. We were never rude. We just smiled, agreed, and handed them exactly what they kept asking for. A real project, a real problem.